Faith Time is our weekly conversation on matters of faith, and joining us this morning is Chris Floyd, the next generation pastor at Cottage Hill Baptist Church. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're talking about youth, keeping youth engaged, but also the pressures that they may face. You know, we're into the school year at this point, and with kids returning to, in a lot of places, secular institutions, how do they keep the faith as they go back to class or continue their studies?
Absolutely. So I think it's getting important to find a local body, a local church in which can pour into you, having that relationship with. So it is important to be rooted and grounded, your relationship with Jesus Christ being forefront and most important. But that only way that grows is through the local church.
We were talking last hour about pressure, but another thing that is a problem for teenagers is boredom, idleness. How does that affect teenagers when it comes to their faith?
Yes, I think when we're bored alone, when students, teenagers are bored alone, that can lead to searching on the internet, and so much of sin and temptation can be found there. So I think it's being aware and making sure that there's avenues, and we make sure we do the best we can as a student staff and church staff to provide avenues in which a student can get involved and not fall into boredom.
What techniques have you learned as a youth pastor that work and what don't work? I remember talking with another pastor some months ago about the idea that turn and burn Christianity is no longer really a thing that people push, but what do you feel works?
Yeah, so Paul writes this in 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8. He says, Paul writes this, writing to the church, says, because I loved you, because I cared for you, I not only shared the gospel of Jesus Christ, but also shared myself. That's so overlooked, a little verse there, but it is so crucial that us as pastors, leaders, volunteers, that we don't just share the gospel, turn or burn, but we're sharing ourselves. So being real, being vulnerable, here's what I'm struggling with, here's what I'm going through. We all mess up, you, me, all of us. And so it's being real and honest with those teenagers that, hey, let's go through this together and we can do this.
Chris Floyd, next generation pastor at Cottage Hill Baptist Church. We thank you for joining us for this edition of Faith Time.